Wow, what a speech. Thank you, Governor Reynolds. And thanks to the First Lady of Florida for a great introduction to the governor. We're excited to be here and honored to have Governor Reynolds' support. We're also happy to say my wife has been making this promise to everybody. When we're in the White House, the only thing our kids are going to be bringing back is homework, not cocaine. So don't worry about that. You know, Governor Reynolds is one of the greatest governors in the United States, one of the greatest governors this state has ever had. And part of it is that she has a great head on her shoulders. She stands for the conservative values that we all believe in. She delivers really, really big results, but she's been willing to do that when it's not easy. And ultimately, that's the test of a leader. It's easy to lead when the wind's at your back. It's a little harder when you're facing some turbulence. And when I was going through a lot of what we were going through with COVID, I think Kim and I were the only governors in America that forced all our schools to be open for classroom instruction for the kids. And I get called a lot of things now, but I think it was worse then, and I know she got called a lot of things, and we took a lot of flack for that, but everybody looks back now and knows that those were the right decisions, that those decisions have benefited kids, and the states that did the other, and Fauci and all that, it was wrong. So she has shown an ability to stand and fight for you when it's not easy. And that's one of the reasons why Iowa is one of the best governed states in America. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here. I speak from experience on this. As governor of Florida, I get a window into what's going on in this country because people visit our state, they move to our state, and they tell me what's going on. So, you know, if I'm in Marco Island in January, I have half the Midwest down there. When I talk to the Illinois people, they have nothing good to say about how Illinois is governed. When I talk to now Minnesota, a lot of complaints about Minnesota and many others. But when I talk to the Iowans, what they say is, you know, Governor, we love what you're doing here and we love what our governor's doing in Iowa. So that's all you need to know. And I appreciate Governor Reynolds getting involved in the process. You know, look, when you do that, some people don't like it, and some people say this or that. But I think that she understands what I understand is this country has hit the skids. This country is in a period of decline, and this is a decline that has been inflicted on this country by a lot of technocratic elites, by a lot of entrenched politicians who have taken action, borrowing, printing, spending money, and now you're paying more for everything. The interest rates are as high as they've been in 40 years. They have made this country less affordable. They have made it harder on families to get ahead. They've also left our families exposed with an open border. Fentanyl flows into our communities. And yes, terrorists have infiltrated this country because of what Biden and his minions have done. They've also degraded our military, where we're actually running low on stocks. We can't defend the country the way we should, and our recruiting is at a generational low. They have inflicted indoctrination on our education system, fought to strip the rights of parents, and have led to the degradation of learning in this country. They have abandoned public safety and the rule of law in so many cities throughout this country, where many of these places are now ungovernable, and they have empowered and facilitated a massive, unaccountable bureaucracy that has been weaponized against us and that imposes its will on us without our consent. And look no further to what happened with people like Dr. Fauci during COVID-19. So the elite that have facilitated this country's decline, they think everything's just fine and dandy. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. They think you should be grateful for their benevolence and their wisdom. They think that you should simply resign yourself, that this country is not going to be able to produce the outcomes it used to, and you should be thankful for even those suboptimal outcomes. They just want you to sit back and let them pursue their agenda at your expense. Well, we refuse to do that any longer. The decline of our country is not inevitable. It is a choice. We as Americans have the opportunity, and we must choose a better path. We must reject decline. We must choose American revival. And that's exactly what I'll do as President of the United States. So what's the philosophy? I think it's very simple. You need a president that's going to fight for you. You need a president that's going to win for you. And you need a president that's going to lead this country back to greatness. And that's what we'll do. First, you can't be like some of these Republicans, many of them in Washington, D.C., that refuse to fight for our values. Anytime they have an opportunity to surrender to the media, the left, or the Democrats, they simply bend the knee. We elect them to fight for us, and they refuse to come through. In Florida, and what Kim has done here in Iowa tells a different story. When we had faced with COVID, and I was told that what we were doing was causing me problems politically, everyone was dumping on me. People said I was making a mistake and I wasn't going to have a future in terms of politics. I said, you know what? Leadership is about caring more about protecting the jobs of the people you represent than it does about protecting your own political hide. So I was willing to let the chips fall where they may. I had a responsibility to the people that I represented. They had no voice. I had to be their voice, and I had to dig in, and I had to fight for them. And we chose freedom over Fauciism, and the state has never done better as a result of that choice. Fighting also means you got to take on some powerful interests from time to time. And so in the state of Florida, we had debate about whether kids in elementary school should have things like sex and transgender in their curriculums. Now, my wife and I have parents of 6, 5, and 3. We just happen to believe that kids should be able to go to school, watch cartoons, just be kids, without having an agenda shoved down their throats. We believe in the rights of parents to direct the education and upbringing of their kids, and we think that that's fundamental. So we had legislation in Florida to protect the kids against that and protect families, and the media didn't like it, the left didn't like it, and neither did the most powerful corporation in the state of Florida, Disney, didn't like it. And a lot of people said, they're just too powerful. They call the shots. There's no way the governor is going to be able to stand up and hold his ground on this. And, I took an oath to support and defend the people of the state of Florida, not to subcontract out my leadership to woke corporation based in Burbank, California. We stood for what was right. We stood by our kids. And I will do battle with anybody that's seeking to rob our children of their innocence, and I don't care if you're the most powerful corporation in the state of Florida. So you've got to be willing to fight for people. You got to be willing to dig in when it's not easy, when you know there's going to be repercussions. You also, though, have to win these battles. We've been doing a lot of losing as Republicans, not as much in Iowa or Florida, but in many other parts of the country. So yes, that means win big election victories. And Governor Reynolds won a historic landslide victory in 2022, and so did we in the state of Florida. We showed what can be done with bold leadership. But we've also delivered substantively, just as Kim has delivered here and the great legislature that you have. In Florida, every single thing I promised that I would do, we have delivered on. We have enacted a Parents' Bill of Rights. We've enacted universal school choice. We have protected women's sports. We ban transgender surgeries for minor children. We fought illegal immigration by banning sanctuary cities, instituting mandatory E-Verify, and Florida even transported 50 illegal aliens to beautiful Martha's Vineyard. We've expanded Second Amendment protections by enacting constitutional carry legislation. We passed, like Iowa, the heartbeat bill, strongest pro-life protection. We've enacted record tax cuts, but we also were able to run big budget surpluses, and we eliminated almost 25% of our state's total debt since inception, just since I've been governor. I inherited the most liberal state Supreme Court in the country when I took office in January of 2019, and through my appointments, we now have the most conservative state Supreme Court in the country. We banned the purchase of land by the Chinese Communist Party and its affiliates. No farmland, no nothing. Not in Florida. We kneecapped ESG, things like BlackRock and all this other stuff, dead on arrival in the state of Florida. Same with central bank digital currency. We nixed it in Florida. First state in the country to eliminate from our public universities so-called DEI, which they say it's diversity, equity, inclusion, but if you look at how they do it, it's ideology, it's discrimination, exclusion, and indoctrination, and has no place in our public university system. When the BLM riots broke out in the summer of 2020, you didn't see me marching with the rioters. I called up the National Guard. We passed legislation preventing local governments from defunding the police. And we ensure that in Florida, if you riot, you loot, you engage in mob violence, you're not getting a slap on the wrist, you're getting the inside of a jail cell. We have passed and enacted the death penalty for pedophiles. And when we had prosecutors, one in Tampa, Florida, one in Orlando, Florida, funded by people like George Soros, who took it upon themselves to pick and choose which laws they liked and which laws they didn't want to enforce, I removed both of them from their posts. They are gone. So all this has now led to Florida being ranked #1 for economy, #1 for economic freedom, #1 for education, #1 for education freedom, #1 for parental involvement in education, #1 in new business formations, a 50-year low in the crime rate, #1 fastest growing, and #1 for net in-migration. That is winning. That is what it's all about. So you got to win. But you also have to lead. Leadership is the indispensable ingredient. It's what separates somebody like Governor Reynolds from other governors around the country that may also have friendly legislatures and similar political demography.